Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we are at property address 3324 Southeast 11th Avenue here in Portland. Located at the front of the building here, part that faces out to the street, and I describe everything as if you're standing in the road facing the front of the house. So, just almost straight out from the doorway, just to the left and out in front of the patio here, we've got a 4-inch ABS clean out. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. So I notice as we drop in here, you can see how that joint has become separated and somewhat offset there. This is the clean out access. This is not generally a functional part of the sewer line. Sometimes that can indeed lead to certain things happening as stuff starts falling into there from the ground. So anyway, it's something I recommend to fix on, just to understand this is not part of the actual, sewage does not flow through there. I zeroed out the base of the clean out. Off we go. And I'm going to introduce water from the outside to this one. This is it's a multi-family household. It's much easier to get water running than it is to turn it off, just because of the amount of occupants in the building. So alright, got some constant water running here. I stuck the garden hose down the clean out and got it past that joint so we're not blasting the dirt. Anyway, I like to point this out sometimes just because not everyone's totally just looks at sewer lines all day long, but you can see here when you flush your toilet, rarely does everything get from point A to point B in one toilet flush. And what I'm leading into here is sewer line maintenance, especially as it relates to just keeping the line clean. Grease buildup is generally your most common culprit. One of the biggest reasons you want to keep cooking oil and grease out of your line is to make sure the line flows as nicely as possible. It has a little bit bigger impact on paper products, but you get thick grease buildup in your line. And when debris does stop, which is a very common occurrence, it helps to allow that stuff to break free a lot easier without getting hung up and resulting in a blockage. It's a lot bigger deal as it relates to stuff like balled up toilet paper, and even more so improper items like paper towels, wipes, things like that. But when you have like a rental situation where you have a lot of volume going down the line, and they're not always situations where people using the line aren't always caring for them in quite the same manner, it's just a good idea to always keep things clean. That's why I often recommend maintenance jetting on these multifamily dwellings like this, just to help keep things cruising through. So this appears to be the main connection here at about 41 feet. We did swap over to clay pipe there a moment ago. Looks like 6-inch clay. So I'm going to go locate really quick here, and I'm mostly going to try and focus on the stuff from about the street curb back. I located the camera head on the far side of the street. And more specifically out on Southeast 11th. And so I have water off now, but again, I don't really have control over the water flow in these places because of the amount of occupants in them. Right in here, we've got some buildup occurring. With the amount of buildup that's been sitting in the line, what makes it hard to tell right now is if you've got standing water here. Most likely it is related to some standing water. But you get a bunch of debris going down line like we had there at the start, and you can get a debris dam that forms. And by and large, that is looking like a settled piece of pipe there. I'm not blowing through a huge wall of debris. And you can see this joint here did drop. I'm just bleeding the garden hose off here really quick, and then I'll go locate and see where we're currently sitting. All right, it looks like we are past the curb here. My locate is coming in that way. There's a car parked kind of over where I'd like to be locating, but the signal I'm not picking up prior to the curb. There's also a clean out access, big steel cover plate adjacent to the curb. And I believe that is where we pick up this Y connection coming in here. I will notate this, but that appears to be just a tie-in. A lot of times when these things get updated these days, they'll put these in. It's a drain cleaning access for the city to service their end of the line. Two, it allows for trenchless epoxy liners to go in and update things. For instance, the clay pipe at the end of the sewer line there, when that day comes, where the city often is doing that these days. So when the update gets performed, they will often add these cleanouts in just for ease of access. And even at this point here, we're still past the curb. So standing water issue there is all in city territory. Realistically, at the distance that is and the pipe diameter, you're in there in 6-inch 3034 PVC. Smooth pipe walls, very unlikely location to get a blockage anyway. I'm a little more concerned on stuff like that, especially in clay pipe. The joints usually don't hold up to the settling and open up to the ground. That's in PVC pipe there, which often can settle without doing that, but again, well into city responsibility where that's at. You're dang near middle of the road at that point. So, some standing water here. I'm going to pull back just to get to the start of it so I can map it out for you and notate it, but this is, in the world of bellies, very, very minor standing water. You can see how, when we were further out in the street where you had the belly that had much deeper water, it was closer to probably 1.5 inches or so, how much murkier the water was, the amount of debris that was hanging up in it. Standing water like this is very, very minor. I've been doing this 13 years now, cambered almost 25,000 sewer lines. Reality is, in standing water this minor, wish it wasn't there, but as it relates to how it affects functionality, it does not do a great deal to affect flow. Not unless the line's getting fairly heavily abused. You're hovering right about at 1/4 inch of standing water here. It starts around 8 feet. I'm going to stop periodically, let the water settle in. About the worst I've seen so far is 1/4 inch. And for reference, I don't even consider repair recommendations until there's at least 1 inch of water for a minimum of 5 feet. And that's something I created many, many years ago. That's about the point where regular old toilet paper starts to hang up in the sewer line, more so larger wads of it than folded toilet paper. But in general, bellies like that, especially in smooth plastic pipe, very, very rarely lead to an issue unless the homeowners or renters are really helping things along, dumping lots of cooking oil, grease down the line, and then also, putting wipes, paper towels, things of that nature. This section of pipe here is so clean, I couldn't even recommend you clean it, let alone, ripping up a 10-foot length of pipe here to fix something that's, there's a little bit of substance on the sidewalls there, but it's a thin layer. Spots like this, I would, honestly, I'd rather see you had to deal with it with maintenance cleaning periodically, but there's so little debris there on the sidewalls, cleaning it would make zero difference to functionality. So that's my 2 cents on that. It's just too minor, in my opinion, and the cost-benefit scenario, what you'd get out of that is very little. And the line will speak to you. This line's getting put to a very good test on a regular basis. Lots of stuff's going down it. If that was causing recurring issues all the time, you would have thick buildup on the sidewalls and certainly at the top of the pipe where it shows you the line's backed up, filled up completely, and deposited debris. So, about the only situations where a spot like that can result in a blockage, part of it will be the standing water, most of it will be how the line's being treated. Especially with standing water at that degree there, it's just very minor. So I will recommend the clean out be repaired. As it sits right now, again, that's not really doing anything at all to affect functionality. It's just one of those things that can slowly but surely change over time. It can also lead to hydro erosion. This scenario, because it's not part of the functional part of the sewer line, it's in the clean out access, I'm a little more concerned it can lead to settling, the ground settling immediately around where the clean out's at. You get enough water movement through the ground there, it can hydro erode the soil out from underneath the sidewalk area, things like that, and result in settling ground. So, you know, you have some safety hazard concerns there as well. And that is approximately, you're about 2 feet deep there where that's at. That's a pretty simple fix there. That was a dry fit pipe joint. You just got to dig that out and glue the joint shut. That's really all that is there. About as easy as a repair gets. Otherwise, the belly, again, too minor in my opinion to require repairs. You know, if we were pushing an inch of standing water, even if that were in rougher cast iron, or that coupling effect of rougher pipe walls mixed with standing water, it's still one that is unlikely to result in a backup unless it's an abusive scenario. So, in fact, the belly that's further out in the street there is probably more likely to result in a blockage than the longer belly with less standing water. That depth of water has a lot to do with how things move along there. But good thing is it's in smooth plastic pipe, which mitigates a lot of buildup naturally because of that smooth texture. So anyway, all the pipe we scoped there all appears to be intact, has adequate flow all the way to the main lateral, or at least to the street. Out on the road, you have a little more hindrance and flow, but again, the belly out there is not major or massive. That, again, falls into city responsibility anyhow. And the tie-in there, you've got to clean out right next to the street curb. That tie-in there all appears to be connected to the clean-out access that's by the curb. Anyhow, sewer line is functioning at this time as it relates to flow all the way out to the street. I would recommend correcting the clean out so it doesn't result in anything in the future.